Welcome to 5-Minute Mediumship, and in this video I want to look at how we can move from perception to communication and a really easy way to start to enable that. So when we're talking about perception, we're talking about the information that we are perceiving. In the same way that sometimes when we might work psychically with a living person, as our energy connects to theirs, we can perceive information about them. When we talk about communication, communication is where we're actually having that flow of an aspect of conversation. And I say an aspect of conversation because when you and I are talking audibly, we are talking audibly. But when we're linking and blending with a contact from the spirit world and we're having that flow of communication, it happens on an energetic perspective. But that is still different. That flow of communication is still different than perceiving information. Very often as mediums, as we first start to work, we do work with perceiving information. And the easiest way to think about it is to think about the way you work psychically with someone else. And that fact that you're tuning into their energy, and as you tune into their energy, it is rebounding and responding, and you are being made aware of that response, and therefore you're perceiving energy and information about the person that you're working with, and yet they are not communicating that to you. It is information, guidance, energy that you are perceiving from the blending that's taking place between the two of you. And in some respects, that also happens in the way that we work with spirit. So as a spirit contact starts to blend with us and move and work with our energy, the initial sense that we have is about that perception of what we are aware of. And that perception might be about their height, their build, what they liked, who they were like, what they did for a living, their illnesses, all those sorts of things. But communication is a little bit more specific. Communication cuts through that aspect of perception to bring a clarity and a purpose to the contact's ability to work with you and to relay what they want to relay to their recipient. Because if they're here blending with you, there is a purpose to them being there. There is something that they want to say, something that they want to relay, which has specificity and current meaning to the recipient. And sometimes we need to move away from the aspects of information that we perceive in order to allow that flow of communication. When we first start to work with development, and you'll have seen this in some of your own development groups, one of the easiest ways to identify the difference between perception and communication, and to know whether you're perceiving information or whether you're actually communicating, and with people that you see within your development circle also working, is where you have that flow of information to begin with, but then when it comes to the latter part of the contact, the latter part of the communication, where you're actually passing on the message. And it might be that your development leader or your circle leader says to you, okay, so what are they here to say? What have they come to say to their loved one, to the recipient? And sometimes you'll have noticed, or you'll be aware of, that flow of information drying up. So you'll have had lots of information about the contact, about what they liked, who they were like, all sorts of different things. But then when it actually comes to what do they want to say to their loved one, there's a hesitation. And the flow of information isn't as fluid. It doesn't appear to be as ready. And that's because it isn't a flow of communication. That's because the medium is perceiving information, but there isn't a flow of communication. So one of the ways you can actually work with the contact to try and stimulate that sense of communication, to try and allow that and really move into that vibration of communication rather than information, is to ask why. So if they're bringing a piece of information to you, why is it important? What purpose does it have at that moment in time? And if you can do that, then you will start to bring a greater level of clarity to the information, but it will also have a relevance to the particular recipient at that moment in time. So as you're talking and relaying the information that you're perceiving from the contact about what they like to do, whether they like to read, or the fact that grandmother has a particular cardigan that she was really fond of, if you can then ask why. Why did they like to read? Why are they bringing you that information about the cardigan? That will enable you to understand whether you're perceiving that information or whether it's actually communication. And if it is communication, asking the why will enable Spirit to give you that sense of the relevance at this moment in time for the recipient. So try it, see how you get on, and do come back and let me know.
So